Hello, today we're going to talk about the point-slope form of a line. So the general equation for the point-slope of a line is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1, where m is the slope, that's the number in front of the parentheses, and combined together, this value for x1 and the value for y1 create a point that is on the line, okay? So we have three types of questions that could be asked, as well as more, but these are the three we're going to focus on in this video. For A, it says, given the equations below, identify the point and the slope. So they gave us a point-slope form of a line and are saying identify these two pieces. So the first says identify the slope. Well, that's easy enough. It's the number that is in front of the parentheses when it's in this format. So the slope is 2. Then it gets a little bit more complicated because we have to identify the point, but we need to be careful of the signs. Because in the formula, y minus is the formula. So the y1 is simply the number not including the sign. The same thing with x1. It's just the number not including that subtraction sign. So when it says y minus 5, that y minus is already part of the formula, so the number that we're looking for is just the 5. The same thing with x minus, that's already part of the formula. We're just looking for the number, which is 3. So putting it together, I'm going to put the 3 first because that's how a point is formatted, with x then y. So the point becomes 3, 5. If we take a look at the next example, we have y plus 3 and then negative 4 times x minus 6. So the slope, once again, is easy enough. It's the number in front of the parentheses in this format, so the slope is negative 4. But when we go to take a look at the values and the points, you'll see that this is y plus 3. But in my formula, it's y minus. So we have to convert that y plus into a y minus a negative. Because when I plug into this formula, I really had y minus a negative 3 because minus a negative becomes a plus. So now I can see that y minus is part of the formula, and I'm left with the negative 3 for the y value. And for the x value, it's x minus, so it's just the 6. And I put the point in the xy format, so it's 6, negative 3. You'll notice going the other direction, my y value is negative, so when I plug it into the formula y minus, I put in that negative 3. That's what creates this y plus. We'll see that a little bit more when we get to the next section. So if I take a look at the next example, slope once again is 1/2, and the point, once again, we have this y plus situation. So this really came from y minus a negative 6, and the x plus came from x minus a negative 2. So that helps us identify the 2 point, or the point. Negative 6 and negative 2, put it in the x first, and then the y, and there's the point that was on the line. The next scenario, or the next question rather, is write the equation of the line given the point and slope. They don't tell me to write it in point-slope form, but I should choose the point-slope form of a line because they're giving me a point and the slope. That's exactly what goes into this formula. So I'm going to start with y minus, that's where my y value is going to go, equals, my slope comes next, parentheses x minus, and there's going to go the x value. Okay, so let's identify. The slope is 2, that goes in front of my parentheses. The point is 1, 5, that's my x and my y. Make sure you put it in the right place. This is y minus the y value, so it's a 5, and x minus the x value, that's 1. We're finished. That's all. So now let's take a look at the next example. I have a slope of negative 3, and the point 2, negative 6, that's my x and y. So I'm going to start my formula the same way. I need those subtraction signs to start so I can see what happens when I plug in things like negatives. So negative 3 is the slope that goes in front of the parentheses. Now I'm going to plug in my y value, which is a negative 6. So here's where I get y minus a negative 6. Just because that minus is there doesn't mean I don't have to put the negative. I do, of course. then I wind up having x minus 2. So I can simplify this a little bit further because we don't like to see y minus a negative. We would rather see y plus 6 equals negative 3 times x minus 2. Finally, it says, write the equation of the line that passes through the points. So I have 2 points, neither of which are the y-intercept. So if you saw my previous video with the slope-intercept form, I could find the slope between 2 points and then just plug in the y-intercept. I don't have that here, which is why I would rather use the point-slope form. So the first thing I'm going to do is find the slope using y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So here's x1, y1, x2, y2, fraction subtraction, 8 minus 4 over 6 minus 2. That winds up being 4 over 4, which is 1. No big deal. Now I have 2 points to choose from and I only need 1. If you are having trouble with the negatives here, try and choose the one that doesn't have negatives because it doesn't matter which point you choose. So I'm going to pick 2, 4. And here we go. Y minus my y value, which is 4, equals the slope. So you wind up with y minus 4 equals 1 times x minus 2 because you plugged in the 2 for x and the 4 for y and the 1 for the slope. So finally, we're going to find the slope of the last 2 points because we still want to write the equation of the line. So fraction and subtraction, negative 3 minus a negative 5, that's from this y2 and this y1. Then 0 minus a negative 3. You can use your calculator and do the mental math. Negative 3 plus 5 is 2, and 0 plus 3 is 2 over 3. I'm also going to choose negative 3, negative 5 for our points. So we wind up with y minus a negative 5 equals 2 over 3 for the slope, x minus a negative 3. In this case, again, I need to rewrite it because I should not have minus a negative. So this is y plus 5 equals 2 over 3, x plus 3. And that's all. Hope you have a great day. Bye.